All right, next on deck, this is a 2017 GLS450 doing a single step correction Gyeon moves and some touch-up work. So we do have a couple areas of more concern, this being one of them, and there's a small mark on the driver's door. Now, I told the client that the bulk of this is going to stay behind, but some of it will come out. So I'm going to start polishing it now and see what happens. You know, but there's a big mark right here on the body line. Right, this is where the paint is thinnest, so that's not going to go anywhere. All right, so that's following 1500 and then 2500 sand scratches, or sanding. I have sand scratches left, we'll polish those out, and it should be a lot better. All right, I'm pleasantly surprised with how this turned out. You know, when you start these things, it's kind of unclear like where it's gonna go. There are a couple marks like here and here. You know, for as much as I sanded on this and without those coming out, I'm not gonna press my luck. Still some polish I need to wipe off, but that's nice. I'm okay with all that. Now, full transparency, right? So the bulk of what this was transfer, right? Especially on that body line, you're not gonna be able to sand out, you know, deep scratches without eating into the clear coat. So all that transfer, as ugly as it was, you know, was superficial, was on the surface. So fortunately, all that came out, you know, looks fantastic. I'm sure the client's gonna be happy with it. All right, Gyeon Mows. So I offer Gyeon Mows, Infinite, and then Infinite plus top coat. 3 choices. Keep it simple. Fresh bottle. This thing doesn't really have a zoom on it, so we'll keep it close, but we're gonna try to record on the Pocket 3 for a bit. Come on. Okay, so this car belongs to a client that I can't recall how we met, but she sent me a message 2 years ago, and I quoted, I don't know why, but for some reason I quoted just a maintenance detail at $450. So maintenance detail is typically what I just do for prior cars that I've coated, even 2 years ago. So I'm not sure why I did that. Maybe we had a phone call or something, but that never went anywhere. I never saw the car. She reached out. Actually, it was part of my bad. I think she called and left like 3 different voicemails before I finally called her back, which is rude. I'm not sure why, but so I appreciate her continuing to call. I remember her last message. She's like, "This is my 4th time calling." You know, she could have easily given up and moved on. So I need to do better with that. All right, so for this, I'm at about $1,000 for this detail. This is a large SUV by my scale. Light paint correction, Gyeon Mows, $1,000. So that was clearly double. That was more than double what I charged for the maintenance detail. So it was good that she came out and we were able to talk. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have done the detail just going off the dollars alone. But I was able to, go over some of the trouble areas, like that front corner. I said, I don't know what's going to happen with it. I can work on it and clean it up, but no assurances of, it's going to come out. Fortunately, the bulk of it was transfer. The rest of it were shallow scratches. But I think this turned out extremely well. When it showed up, it was rough. I know it's only been through tunnel washes, a lot of road grime. I spent a ton of time washing and just getting off that road film. The polishing helps a good bit. Even though we just did a light paint correction, that's a ton of scrub on the paint. to, you know, really clean it, as well as removing all the tunnel wash marks, or at least reducing a lot of those tunnel wash marks. The clarity is fair. You know, I changed the polishing combo to go to a heavier cut pad just to get more bite out of it. And I can get away with that on this paint because it's white, because it's Mercedes, it's hard to begin with. So while it may seem, you know, counterintuitive to use a heavy cut pad, like I use the Rupes coarse pad and 3D1. Well, that may seem counterintuitive because typically that's a cutting only pad and you should refine after. You know, for this instance, it's perfectly fine. Just because it is a white car. I probably couldn't have gotten away with that if this was a dark colored car. There probably would have been some visible haze, but there's no haze. This thing looks fantastic. And I was able to get more bite out of it without jumping to a two-step. And I was determined not to do that. So we got more bite out of the paint, or out of the polishing step. The paint cleaned up pretty nicely. All right, so I cleaned, or I polished, hand polished all the door cups yesterday. Yeah, well, this thing's in pretty good shape. Like, there's no big dings or anything. I did have a consult with another neighbor with his son. His son just bought his first car, and I don't think that consult went very well. So that neighbor, he was one of my very first clients. I did a lot of work for a very small dollar amount on his car. And, you know, it's tough when those folks reach back out. Like, I haven't seen him or really talked to him since like 2017, maybe, yeah, probably 2017, 2018. I did a small detail on his Audi at the time. I probably charged a couple $100. I probably polished the bulk of that car, you know. So he brought his son's car back, and I showed him retail numbers. I showed him numbers on my website. You know, I started at 1100. His car needs a ton of polishing. Black Mustang. I think both of them looked at me a little cross-eyed. You know, even after he left, I sent him another message saying, you know, we could do the paint enhancement detail like I did on the Evoque. Zero response to that. So, you know, I think that's kind of a good lesson I give to, you know, some of these guys that reach out to me, ask about how to get started and whatnot. You know, I tell them, you're not going to get every client. Regardless of how good you think your relationship is, you're not going to book every detail. And you have to be okay with that. I used to not be okay with that. I used to hate losing details. You know, FOMO would kick in and I'd be all sad. Or I'd want to, you know, overextend myself to make the client happy. And it's just not sustainable. You know, the vast majority of folks don't bat an eye at the prices. At least not to me. You know, I know this client at first was like, wow, your price has increased. You know, but then I just had to explain what the difference is in the packages and why the maintenance detail is, you know, $450 versus this being $1,000. You know, and ultimately, she was fine with that. X5 owner didn't bat an eye. You know, so you can't. I think The moral of the story is everyone values this type of service differently. You know, and if folks don't see the value in it, then it's just not a good fit. It doesn't make sense to do it.